Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children, welcome to online class. Children, you are welcome for this class. I think you are enjoying the lessons. 11th standard children, this is your first unit non-detailed, that is supplementary story. The name of the lesson is After 20 Years. The lesson name is After 20 Years. So just imagine yourself after 20 years what you would be. So will you tell me what you would be? So maybe a dancer, maybe a doctor, maybe an engineer, maybe a teacher, and so many. So children, after 10 years, we can say that our technology will be developed and there will be lot of changes. See all the empty places where you see after 20 years you can find very big buildings, and 20 years gap is a very big gap and lot of changes would be taken place. So you will be 20 years now, means then your age will be 40 and you will be touching 40s. And if you wait 16s and 15s like that, 13s like that, then your age will be, then add 20 with that, then you will be thinking that you also will be grown and there will be lot of changes will be taken place, children. So here this is a supplementary reader after 20 years. Okay, so here I have some questions for you. What do you expect your close friends to do for you? Beautify the petals with your thought. So you can tell me what you can do with the thing. Okay, so entertainment, your friends are for entertainment, and here you can tell me something, guessing how what your friend want to be. Caring for you. Okay, then friends helping you, loving you, then sharing with you. Then what do you expect, children? Yeah, I am hearing so many things from you, and you can say what other qualities your friendship want. You want your friends to be very friendly. Okay, then you want your friends not to talk with others. So that is very possessive, children. Okay, so you don't want your friend to be friend to any other person. Okay, any other person, very possessive this is. Okay, then you will be expecting your friend to write your homeworks. Then it is not friendship, children. Okay, so you have lot. Tell me some other thing. Caring, helping, loving, sharing, friendly, and understanding. Yeah, understanding. Okay, so you will be having so many things. Okay. Okay, you have lot of things you said, and we'll see at what all the things. Okay, find out when International Day of Friendship is celebrated. So Friendship Day is there, and which is celebrated you will be telling. How is that day celebrated? We have heard the proverb, familiarity breeds contempt. Do you think that passage of the time strengthens friendship? Share your reason. Yeah, you will be just sharing that in your thing to me. Yeah. So here is a story. So okay, so we want your friendship. So I want a question before you. Suppose if you have a best friend, and after 10 years you find your friend had done something illegally wrong, and you were very righteous person, what you will do with your friend? Will you accept that friend who is doing all wrong things against the government and illegal things, and you accept that he is your friend, or what you say that whether, or you will be informing the government that your best friend is doing like this all? What you will do? Yeah, this story depends on that. So your two friends are there, and those two friends, one is becoming a policeman, the other becomes a illegal business, doing something and become a very rich person, and he is wanted in the police in Chicago. And that person, after 20 years, he had kept a promise to his best friend. After 20 years they'll be meeting in the restaurant, and he just meets in that restaurant, and in that restaurant both were just meeting, and you know that one become a police, the other become a wanted list. And what happens, that is the story. It's clear, children? We'll see what happens among the friends. We'll see it. Okay, here is a story entitled After 20 Years, which is about two best friends who had to part ways. They have been parted ways, and they returned to keep an appointment they had made 20 years ago. Read to find out what happens when they meet again. So you have to find out what happens when they meet. Okay, we'll start the lesson, children. Okay. The policeman on the beat moved up the avenue impressively. The impressiveness was habitual and not for show. So sometimes some people will be there, and when they are working, they'll show up their work. And there are many people, and there are types of people. They'll work as if they are showing that they are working. So that is. And yet this policeman was a strict person, and he was a true policeman, and he was very sincere in his duty, and he was just going around on a avenue. And the impressiveness was not a duplicate one, it is an habitual and not for show. It was not for a show. He was a policeman, he had to go around, and he is going around on the avenue. For the spectators were few. There were no spectators. You know that the patrol police service will be just going on the way in the midnight to safeguard the nation or the village or the town or the city where they are. And what the duty is assigned to them, they will be following it. And the same way it happens. So it is not a show up, it is an habitual. For spectators were few. The spectators were few means there were very few. You know, in the late night, that too in a chill night, there won't be people coming out. Just think over on a rainy day, on a chill day, people will not come out mostly. Evening itself they'll shut their home and they'll be inside. Now here the same, the spectators very few. The time was barely 10 o'clock, and it was 10 o'clock, mostly all the person will be sleeping, taking rest in their home. Clock at night, 10 o'clock, not in the morning, it is at night. But chilly gust of wind with the taste of rain them had well nigh de-peopled the street. So here there was no one in the street, very few people were there. The reason is it was a chill situation, and it was a gust wind with the taste of rain. The gust wind is giving a taste of rain. They had a well nigh, so they were not coming out of the street. So people were taking rest in their home. Trying doors as he went. When he was just going, he was as he went, trilling his club with many intricate and artful movements, turning now and then to cast his watchful eye down the pacific thoroughfare, the officer with his stalwart form. So here he was having a club in his hand. As a policeman, he was having a club in his hand, and he was just making twist and turn in that, and he was walking and with the energetic mind in that chilly thing. So even it is very chill and it was very cool and cold, and he was not able to walk. As a sincere police officer, he was just playful with his club and just walking and checking all the doors. It's clear, children? We'll go for the next. and slight swaggers made a fine picture of a guardian of the peace. The vicinity was one that kept early hours. Now and then you might see the lights of the cigar store or of an all-light lunch counter, but the majority of the doors belonged to business place that had long since been closed. So most of the place in the street was business place and it all closed and it was very dark, and slight swagger made a fine picture of a guardian of the peace. The vicinity was one that kept early hours. Now and then you might see the lights of the cigar store or of an all-light lunch counter, but the majority of the doors belonged to business place that had long since been closed. So here only few places where there a hotel and other things, the remaining things for food and other place which is open, there only lights were there, and most of the place where belong to the business and those places were all closed, and it was so dark. When about midday of a certain block, the policeman suddenly slowed his walk. So when about midway of the certain block, some certain blocks were there at the midway, and there the policeman suddenly slowed his walk. He was walking fast, so nothing was wrong on the way, it was normal, so he was just walking. And one place he was just slowed his walk. In the doorway of the darkened hardware store, a man leaned. So he noticed a person, something strange in one place, and that place he was just walking, his walk was very slow. In the doorway of a darkened hardware store, there was a hardware store and it was very darkened, and there one person was standing, a man was leaned with an unlighted cigar. So he had not lighted the cigar in his mouth, he was having a cigar in his mouth and he is going to light, he is unlighted the cigar. As the policeman walked up to him, the man spoke up quickly. So when the policeman walks on the way, he spoke quickly to him. And what he was saying? "It's all right, officer," he said reassuringly. "I'm just waiting for a friend. It's an appointment made 20 years ago. Sounds a little funny to you, doesn't it? Well, I will explain if you would like to make a certain it all straight. About that long ago, there used to be a restaurant where this store stands. It is Big Joe Brady's restaurant." So the man who is leaning there just gives this policeman that he made an appointment 20 years ago, and he was all for that appointment, came from Chicago, so from a long distance he came and he was waiting for his friend which he had made an appointment, and for that appointment he had come to the place. And there when he was separating 20 years back, there was a restaurant, and the restaurant name is Big Joe Brady's restaurant. So Big Joe Brady's restaurant is the name of the restaurant, and it was no more. You know that as the year passed, what will happen if somebody would have bought that place, or they would have been collapsed and they would have got some other building there. So there was a restaurant and they were both at, and he was saying, and for that reply, what was the policeman is replying for that? "Until 5 years ago," said the policeman, "it was torn down then." So he was saying that until 5 years ago, said the policeman, before 5 years, until 5 years ago, the restaurant was there, and before 5 years only, what had happened? It was torn down then. That means they just rebuilt something. They demolished and they rebuilt something there. So it is very clear. The man in the doorway struck a match. So now the man in the doorway struck a match and lit a cigar. So he struck a match and lit a cigar. The light showed a pale, square-jawed face with keen eyes and a little white scar near his right eyebrow. His scarf pin was a large diamond oddly set. So here when he just so long he was having only cigar, unlighted cigar. Now he was lightening the cigar. In that light, the policeman was able to see the man. How his face was? It was a pale and square-jawed face with keen eyes. His eyes were very keen, and his face was square-jawed, and he was in pale color, and a little white scar. There was a little white scar on his right eyebrow. On his right eyebrow there was a scar, and it was a little white scar. His scar pin was a large diamond. He was having a scar pin, and it was made of a large diamond. You know, you can find it out where the people dressing, whether they are rich or poor or whatever. So the diamond in the scar pin shows that surely he must be a rich person. And oddly set, it was very rare sort of a diamond, and oddly you can find such diamonds. Okay. So now he says, 20 years ago tonight, said the man, I dined here at Big Joe Brady's with Jimmy Wells, my best chum and the finest chap in the world. He and I were raised here in New York, just like two brothers together. I was 18 and Jimmy was 20. Okay, so he says that 20 years I and Jimmy, so that is the Bob and Jimmy were close friends, and they were lead a life like brother. And he was telling that Jimmy was 20 years and he was 18 years. And the next morning I was so the next morning I have to start for the west, and the previous night they were just having a dinner in the restaurant, same restaurant, and the same. When they were having a dinner, they made a promise that after 20 years, they both will be meeting in the same place, in the same restaurant. So here he tells this all to the policeman. So the next day, he planned to go for the west. The west to make my fortune. You wouldn't have dragged Jimmy out of New York. He thought it was the only place on earth. Well, we agreed that night that we would meet here again exactly 20 years from the date and time, no matter what our conditions might be or from what distance we might have to come. We figured that in 20 years, each of us ought to have our destiny worked out and our fortunes made, whatever they were going to be. So here, when they were having their dinner in the restaurant, both of them promised whatever the situation and whatever the condition, whatever the distance they are, they promise that the same time, after 20 years, the date, time and all, they will be meeting in the same place. That was a promise or appointment made by each other. So they made each other, and for that appointment, as a sincere person, the person had arrived from the place. It sounds pretty interesting, said the policeman. So the policeman heard this all, and he was saying, it sounds pretty interesting. So interesting it is, said the policeman. Rather a long time between meets, though it seems to me. So he says that it is a long time, 20 years is a long time, but it is quite interesting. Haven't you heard from your friend since you left? So the policeman is asking, have you not heard from your friend for this 20 years? Well, yes. So he says, yes. Yes, for a time we corresponded, said the other, but after a year or two we lost track of each other. You see, the West is a pretty big proportion, and I kept hustling around over it pretty lively. But I know Jimmy will meet me here if he is alive, for he always was the truest, staunchest old chap in the world. He will never forget, I came 1,000 miles to stand in this door tonight, and it's worth it if my old partner turns up. So now he comes and tells that my best friend is very truthful, and I know that if he is alive anywhere or wherever he is, he'll be just coming and meet me in this place. If he is all alive, he'll be meeting now in this place. I'm sure about it because he is very honest person. So a truthful person. So he says that the waiting man pulled out a handsome watch. Now he is pulling out his handsome watch, the waiting man. The lids of it set with small diamonds. So here the scarf pin is made of a big diamond and his watch is having all small diamonds, and there were a lot of diamonds in that small diamonds. So now he sees the time by seeing the watch, 3 minutes to 10. So it was a time 3 minutes to 10. He announced it was exactly 10 o'clock when we parted here at the restaurant door. So here he is telling that we parted here at the restaurant door exactly at 10 o'clock and 3 minutes more. So what I'll do, did pretty well out. So here he says that it was exactly 10 o'clock when we parted here at the restaurant door. Did pretty well out west, didn't you? Asked the policeman. You bet. I hope Jimmy has done half as well. He was a kind plodder though. So now he is telling that he was a kind person, very truthful person. So I'll be waiting for him here for 10 more minutes. So it was 10 o'clock exactly. So I'll be waiting another 10 minutes, he is telling. So we'll see in the next part whether the friend comes and meets and he is keeping his appointment or not in the next part, children. Thank you.